Today we're going to talk about why shopping can improve your mental health and your mood. This is something that I never thought I would talk about. I usually recommend the opposite with my clients. Usually shopping is a trauma response and is not typically looked at as a healthy coping skill, but I'm going to talk about why it is. The first reason is when you go shopping, it releases a neurotransmitter called dopamine. And when you have dopamine released in your brain, it's associated with pleasure and reward. So you're constantly getting that pleasure and reward response, which puts you in a better mood. When you're in a better mood, your positive emotions want to continue themselves. And so when you have positive emotions throughout your day, you start to kind of look for ways to validate those positive emotions, and you sort of create a more positive emotional response to your situation and your surroundings. So just shopping can increase your mood, give you that boost, and then it can kind of continue throughout your day as your emotions want to continue themselves. Another way shopping can improve your mental health is because it gives you a sense of control. You get to choose what you buy, when you buy it, and how much you want to spend, and you have that control over those choices. And sometimes when we feel a lot of stress and feel a lot of depression, we just feel like our lives are out of control and we don't have a lot of control over our lives. Shopping can actually kind of give you that sense of control. It also counters your feelings of helplessness and stress, which also can improve your mood. Stress and depression can really come a lot from feelings of out of control, not being in control of your life. One technique I like to recommend is just look throughout your day of all the little details and all the little things that you make a decision about. I mean, what you wear, what you eat, when you leave, everything. We're making decisions all the time. And so that can kind of bring back some sense of control and mastery. And so kind of bringing into shopping, you have all sorts of options. You have all sorts of ways that you can make decisions and what to spend and buy, like I said. So it really helps with that sense of control and mastery over really your life. Shopping really can help with distraction and escapism. I think of TJ Maxx a lot, and when you're in that store, there's just options of everything. There's kitchen and there's makeup and food and clothes. So many things that you can look at and buy that it kind of gives you that distraction. Being able to just kind of escape some of your stressors throughout your life and your day, that is a good thing. We want to be able to distract, not avoid. And those are two really crucial things to differentiate. If you're avoiding, you're never going back to the problem and you're never addressing what the concern is. You're just constantly shoving it under the rug. But unfortunately, when you shove it under the rug, it's under the rug. It's still there. It's just under the rug now. But when you're distracting, you're able to kind of bring yourself either up to your baseline or down to your baseline, depending on if you were high or low. You can kind of just be in a place, distract for a while, but then you do go address the issue. So that's the important part. And that's the differentiation between distraction and avoidance. So we really want to be distracting, and shopping can really help with that. You can go in a place and you can just distract yourself for a while. You do eventually have to leave and you do eventually face your problems and your stressors, but just for that little bit, it can help you kind of come back to your baseline. That's important to do. I know these are starting to sound a little bit dangerous and you're thinking, well, if there's too much of this, it's not good. And that's true, and we'll get to that. Another one is instant gratification. This is kind of like what we talked about before. You don't have to wait long-term to receive a reward. It's there right then. You purchase it, you have that reward. It's instant. And that can be helpful in boosting your mood, which that's our goal here. We're boosting our mood. Another thing is enhancing your self-esteem. Retail therapy really includes a lot of self-care, that's something I talk about all the time and help my clients understand that self-care is crucial. And when we're putting ourselves first, that really matters. And that shows our kids that we matter because we are putting ourselves first as well. So it really can help with enhanced self-esteem because you're treating yourself, which is boosting your self-esteem. And these kinds of things, if you're getting clothes or makeup or anything, it can enhance your self-image and really improve your mood because you're feeling better about yourself, and it helps boost your self-esteem. Another important aspect of shopping is social interaction. When you're at a store, you're around other people, you're around other shoppers, the sales associates. So you have to kind of socialize a little bit with people. And if you're feeling depressed, all you want to do is isolate. That's a big indicator of depression, is just isolation and avoidance. And so if you're kind of stuck in that, go to a store and be around other people. And that can really boost your mood. That can really improve your self-esteem because you're in that social interaction. That support support, even just from strangers, can be so helpful in helping boost your mood and improve your self-esteem. Also, this sense of connection can really build confidence. Therefore, you're more vulnerable around others. There's kind of this whole pattern here that when you're vulnerable, you build connection with other people, which improves your self-esteem, which improves your mood. So if you're kind of thinking along the lines of that, where you're going to be social and kind of be yourself around these strangers, that can be really helpful in helping you improve your mood, combat those feelings of feeling isolated and unsupported. When we're thinking about stress reduction, shopping can really help you reduce your stress levels. It is a way to unwind. It is a way to kind of create some more balance in your life, and it can really be helpful for that. It's an enjoyable experience, and we want to do things that we enjoy. Again, kind of going back to self-care, we want to do things that make us feel good about ourselves. Bring someone along with you. I mean, that's even better. If you have somebody with you that you love to spend time with, that social support is huge in helping you with depression, anxiety. Bring people with you, be around other people. That can really help reduce your stress levels and create some balance. So I know you're thinking there has to be a limit here, and there is. There has to be a limit. I do a lot of IFS, and in IFS we talk about firefighter parts, and firefighter parts in us are parts of us that run and help us escape any pain our internal system might be feeling from the past. I'll talk about IFS in another video, but that's basically what it is. And so shopping also can be seen as a firefighter part response, which is typically an unhealthy response. And so it's really about balance, and it's really about finding that fine line there. We want to be mindful when we're shopping. We don't want to use it as an escape from trauma and avoidance like we talked about. And so there are some mindful techniques also to include with shopping that can still help it be beneficial for you, but it's not going to be detrimental and turn into an unhealthy coping skill. The first one is setting a budget. We want to make sure we have a budget of how much you want to spend, and don't go over that. Hold yourself accountable to that budget. We make a lot of promises to other people that we spend a lot of time making sure we keep. If you make a promise to yourself, make sure you spend just as much energy in keeping that promise as well. So set a budget for yourself and really stick to that. Setting a budget can really be helpful so you know your limits and you know how much you can spend, and it doesn't turn into shopping with guilt, because we don't want guilt when we're shopping. That can turn into shame, turn into I'm a bad person, I did something wrong, and we don't want to go down that path. So as long as you have a budget and you're sticking to it, you can shop mindfully and really enjoy it, and it can be a positive thing. Another tip is to make a list. And I wouldn't just make a list of things you need, make a list of things you want too. So you have your budget, and then you can kind of go through and see, okay, this is what I need. These are the things I want. If you have that budget going in, you're not going to overspend, and you're not going to buy unnecessary items, which in the long run cause a lot of stress as well. So we want to be very mindful of what you're buying. Make sure it's something that you really need or really want, and stick to that. We want to avoid impulse purchasing, because that also is a unhealthy coping skill, and we don't want to fall into that. Hold yourself accountable, stick to this budget, and stick to these lists. This next one is something that I've really started trying to do myself, and this is let me say that again. Quality over quantity. I used to feel like I would go into a store and I would go straight to the clearance, and I would buy as much clearance as I could because it was more. And like, if it was cheap, I could buy more of it, and it just made me really happy. But lately I've started to think like, I actually want to buy the more expensive items and just one of them, or just one jacket that I really love that costs a little bit more, or one hoodie or something like that, that I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of, and it's going to be a much more long-term use. And I'm not just like buying as much stuff as possible, but it's definitely the quality over the quantity. So really keeping that in mind, I feel like can also boost your confidence, because you're spending your hard-earned money on things that are very nice. And it's not just stuff that you're just trying to get because it's cheap. So that is a great mind shift, and it's really helped me. I really enjoy the stuff I buy now, and I just buy one or two, if that. I don't want to spend on a ton of stuff that I don't really need just because it's on sale or it's on clearance. You don't need it. So we've talked about why retail therapy can be a good thing, any mood boost. Let's talk a little bit about how it can be a detrimental bad thing, bad coping skill. The first thing obviously are financial consequences. If you're just overspending and you're impulse buying, you're going to go into debt. It's going to cause a lot of stress, a lot of strain on your finances and your relationships. The big thing with this is you really want to think about, am I doing this for small little stressors, or do I have a huge stressor or a big trauma I'm trying to cope with? Those are very different. If you have a big trauma, in therapy we call it little t trauma or big T trauma. If you have a big T trauma and it's not being dealt with through mental health professionals, you don't want to just go shopping all the time to get rid of that pain. That's something you actually need to work on and work through. If it's just stressors of like your day, work, kids, and whatever, that's a good escape. So you really need to think about, what am I trying to cure here? How high is my level of pain mentally that I'm trying to cope with? Then you can decide if this is a healthy coping skill or an unhealthy coping skill. For financial consequences, obviously you want to know your limits. And as long as you're crucially aware of your finances, then you should be good and you can go shopping and have a lot of fun and do it as self-care. Another thing to just consider is that it is a temporary relief. It's not something that's long-term. So again, if you have a heavy trauma or something that you're trying to work through, that needs to be a long-term process with a therapist. It's not going to be just healed from going shopping every once in a while. And just remember, this is just a short-term fix. This is a short-term thing. And if you have that in mind, your expectations will be at that area where you're expecting it just to be a short-term little fix. And it's not going to heal everything from your past, so you got to be really mindful of that too. The last downside of retail therapy in my list, I know there's others, but in my list is the accumulation of clutter. This again is where we think about quality over quantity. We want to make sure we're getting really good pieces, good things, get one. If it's a little bit expensive, it's okay. You don't need to get all the cheap ones. Just get one of the nice ones. So think about clutter and think about your home. This is something that I've really kept in mind lately when I go shopping. I think about, where am I going to put this in my house? Is it going to be cluttery? Is it going to cause me more stress trying to figure out where to put it? Oftentimes I don't buy it when I really think that through. A lot of times this applies to clothes for me. I want so many clothes. I love to shop for clothes. It's just my thing. But I think about my closets and all the work I just did in getting rid of so many clothes that I'm just like, I don't want more because I'm going to have to do that again. So think about, where am I going to put this stuff? Is it going to be useful for me, or is it going to just cause more stress? So now that we've talked about the pros and cons, let's talk about some alternatives to retail therapy. My first one is exercise. Exercise is so important. Really, when you're shopping, you're getting exercise as well. But if you just want to eliminate the spending, just go for a walk or do yoga or follow a video on YouTube on whatever kind of exercise you want to do. That's going to really boost your mood. That's going to release the same type of chemicals in your brain to give you that mood boost. So exercise is so crucial, even if you just do walking. I've talked about in the past that walking can create something called bilateral stimulation. So it's the back and forth of your feet moving. That right and left back and forth is called bilateral stimulation. So it's stimulating both sides of your brain. It helps your brain kind of digest things, make new connections. Your perspective changes a little bit on some things. And so that's a really important way to help your brain, help your mood, help you move your body, which is really healthy too. So exercise obviously is crucial. If you just want to eliminate the spending, do some exercising, do anything that helps you just move a little bit. After even like 20 minutes, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel like refreshed and motivated. It's going to be a great thing. Along with exercise, also just any kind of creative outlet can be really good. I talk to so many clients who do so many different art and projects and crafts, the diamond painting, coloring. There's so many things that you can do. And if you just need an escape and you're feeling really overwhelmed and stressed, instead of shopping, just sit down and color for a while or do a dot-to-dot book. Anything like that can help you just kind of release that stress, let some of that go, and be in the moment and be present, which can be really good for your brain and really good for your mental health. And it is satisfying to finish a project or finish a coloring book or something like that. So do some kind of creative outlet that you enjoy, and that's a great alternative to shopping. And then the last alternative is putting yourself in nature. I love this background of mine. This is my real backyard, and I love to just look at it. I think it's so pretty. I love my trees. I just feel like putting yourself in greenery in nature can be so therapeutic and helpful as well. Sometimes we just need to get out of the house. Even if we're not exercising, just get out of the house, go outside and sit and do something outside. That can refresh you so much. It's so amazing how just these little things can be so helpful and such a mood boost. They really help alleviate stress, provide more sense of well-being, even body image, so many things. Just being outside and being in nature. Another aspect of this too is when you're out there in nature, practice mindfulness. So when we think of mindfulness, we kind of think of having a blank mind and like nothing is existing in our mind when we have no thoughts. That is not true at all. Mindfulness is letting your thoughts come in, but then letting them go. Having that ability to just notice that it's a thought and label it as a thought and then just let it go. And if you're able to do that, you can go back to the present and go back to what you're focusing on, and you're not constantly just hooking on to all of your thoughts over and over. So you really want to be able to say, okay, that's a thought. I notice how it makes me feel. I'm just going to let that go, just like waves coming and going. And I'm going to go back to what I'm doing now and noticing what's in front of me. It's a practice though, remember, so it's not something you're just going to get right off the bat. You just continue to practice it. You're going to a million times notice that your brain is off in some thought somewhere. Just be very gentle with yourself. Bring it back and notice the present. So overall, I really want to express that retail therapy can be a helpful therapeutic coping skill. We just need to use it the right way. We want to find that balance where it's not something that we're using as a crutch. We're not avoiding a lot of heavy stress and trauma from big T trauma. It's a coping skill that can be helpful as long as you're mindful and you create that balance and you enjoy it as a form of self-care. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to start doing more videos on mental health, so make sure you subscribe. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day and practice some retail therapy, and I will see you in my next one.